Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan here from Elevate Guitar. I just wanted to talk to you real quickly about 3 simple things that you can do to improve your tone. These are very, very easy to do. You can implement them today, and they're very practical. So let's hop right in. So tip number 1 is to simply turn up your amp. Now, tube amps specifically are really made to be turned up and cranked pretty loud, and that's where they're going to really get to their full potential. You'll get the nice mids and the sparkly highs and just a better balanced sound out of it. Now, if your amp is too low, you're going to probably be fighting against yourself. You might feel like you're going back to your pedals, trying to fix things. Maybe dynamically it's not going to feel right because you're not going to be able to quite get the different high and low dynamic range that you want out of your amp and out of your playing. And it might be as simple as your amp being turned down too low. So tip number 1 is very simple. It's just to turn up your amp. Now, I know for a lot of us, we play in smaller venues or smaller churches. And so turning up your amp on stage is going to pose some problems. So if at all possible, get your amp off the stage and into a back room, into a side closet, under the stage. Build an ISO cab for it, something to get that amp off stage and allow you to turn it up so that you can get the best tone out of your amp. Now, there's a lot of things that we could do to our amp, also to make sure that we're getting the best sound out of it and not fight with our pedals and whatnot. So I'm not going to go into that right now, but simply know that if you're struggling with your sound, if your dynamics don't feel right, if you just don't have that balanced sound out of your amp, you may just need to turn it up. So try turning up your amp super loud and see what that does for you. And tip number 2 is to simply tap in your tempo to your delay pedal. Now, if you don't tap in your tempo and you either just leave it at the same tempo, or you just kind of get kind of sloppy tapping it in and it's not very accurate, you're going to have a pretty sloppy sound. And those delays are not going to feel very tight to your playing. They'll feel misplaced from the song and the part. And so make sure that when you are tapping in the tempo, that it's accurate and that you tap it in to what the actual BPM of the song is. Now, this is really easy if you're playing to a click track because you can hear the click in your ear and tap in to exactly what that click is. Now, also, you want to keep in mind that you might be tapping in a quarter note or you might be tapping in an eighth note. For example, just to keep it simple, if the song is in 70 beats per minute, you're probably going to actually want to tap in the eighth note to that because the quarter note at 70 BPM is going to be pretty slow. So you're probably most likely going to actually be tapping in quarter notes at 140, which in reality is eighth notes since your song is in 70 BPM. So really, though, just make sure that you're tapping in accurately to what you want. So whether that's quarter notes or if you want to be tapping in the eighth notes. And then from there, of course, you can use your quarter note delay, dotted eighth delay or whatever. But if you don't do that, your repeats on your delay are going to make your sound very sloppy. So make sure that you're tapping in your delay each song and make sure that it's accurate. Now, tip number 3 may seem pretty obvious, but it's something that gets missed pretty easily, and that is to use a fresh set of strings. Now, strings that have been on your guitar for a while, weeks or even months at a time, are going to sound dead and lifeless. They're not going to have the spank and the high end, just liveliness. And so if you change your strings, you're going to get all of that back. You'll get the high end back. It's going to sound bright and lively and spanky again, which is what you want. If you're playing with dead strings all the time, then that's another thing that you're going to be fighting against yourself with and trying to adjust at the pedal or the amp level when really all you need to do is replace your strings. Now, I know sometimes even myself, I don't like to change my strings. I procrastinate changing them. I don't change them when I need to. It's kind of a pain, even though it doesn't really take too long. And it's money every time you put a new set of strings on. You're spending money. But if you really want to be able to get the best tone, you're going to want to have some pretty fresh strings. Now, depending on how often you change them is really going to depend on how often you're playing and using them. But ideally, you're probably going to want to change them every couple of weeks. If you're going a month, 3 months, 6 months, for sure, if you're going that long without changing your strings. then you're going to have a dead set of strings, and you don't want that. So make sure you get a fresh set of strings on, and that's going to help your tone out immensely. So I hope those tips helped you in some way. They're very simple and very basic to implement, and that's what I wanted to go after, and they're also pretty easily missed, so I wanted to bring them up. So implement those today, and I guarantee your tone will sound that much better.